Maya Johnson walked through the automatic doors of Chicago O'Hare Airport on a busy Tuesday morning. She pulled her black leather suitcase behind her, the wheels making soft clicking sounds on the smooth floor. Her high heels clicked with each step as she moved toward the check-in area. She wore a navy blue business suit that fit her perfectly and carried a matching handbag. The airport was full of people rushing in different directions. Some were running to catch their flights while others stood in long lines waiting to check in. Maya looked at her gold watch. She had plenty of time before her flight to Los Angeles. She was traveling for business, something she did often as the owner of a large travel company. Maya spoke with a light Jamaican accent. She had moved to New York when she was 12 years old, but she still kept some of the sounds from her childhood, home. Most people found her voice pleasant and clear. She was used to talking to clients from all over the world and felt comfortable speaking to anyone. She walked to the premium check-in counter where there was a shorter line. This was where first-class passengers could get help faster. Maya had paid extra for her ticket because she needed to arrive in Los Angeles feeling fresh for an important meeting the next day. Behind the counter stood Kevin Miller, a tall man in his 30s with brown hair and a blue uniform. He had worked at the airport for 3 years and usually handled the regular passengers, not the premium ones. Today he was covering for another worker who had called in sick. Kevin was having a bad morning. His car had broken down on the way to work, making him late. His supervisor had already talked to him twice about his attitude with customers. He was tired and not in the mood to deal with difficult passengers. Maya approached Kevin's counter with a smile. She placed her passport and boarding pass on the counter and said, "Good morning. I would like to check in for my flight to Los Angeles, please." Kevin looked up from his computer screen but did not smile back. He noticed Maya's accent right away. He picked up her documents and looked at them without saying anything for a few seconds. "What airline are you flying with?" Kevin asked, even though the information was clearly written on her boarding pass. "American Airlines, Flight 447, Maya replied politely. "It leaves at 2:30 this afternoon." Kevin typed something into his computer very slowly. He seemed to be taking much longer than usual. Maya waited patiently, thinking he might be new to the job. "Where did you say you were going?" Kevin asked, looking at Maya with a strange expression. "Los Angeles," Maya repeated, speaking clearly. "I have a business meeting there tomorrow." Kevin made a face like he was having trouble understanding her. "Can you speak a little slower? I'm having trouble following your accent." Maya was surprised by his comment but remained calm. "Of course. I said I am traveling to Los Angeles for a business meeting." "Right, Los Angeles," Kevin said, drawing out the words in a mocking way. "And what kind of business are you in?" "I own a travel company," Maya explained. "We plan trips for large groups and work with hotels and airlines around the world." Kevin laughed quietly and shook his head. "A travel company, really?" He said this like he did not believe her. Maya felt uncomfortable but tried to stay professional. "Yes, that's correct. Could you please help me check in? I would also like to confirm my seat assignment." "Listen, lady," Kevin said, his voice getting louder. "I need you to speak more clearly. I can barely understand what you're trying to say with that accent of yours." Other passengers in line behind Maya started to look at what was happening. An older woman with gray hair frowned at Kevin's behavior. A young man in a business suit pulled out his phone and started recording. Maya felt her face get warm with embarrassment, but she kept her voice calm. "I am speaking clearly, sir. Many people understand me just fine. Could you please process my check-in?" Kevin rolled his eyes and turned back to his computer. "Yeah, well, maybe you should practice your English before you travel. This is America, you know." The comment hit Maya like a slap. She had lived in America for over 20 years. She had built a successful business and employed hundreds of people. She spoke 3 languages fluently and had given speeches at international conferences. "Excuse me?" Maya said, her voice still controlled but with a slight edge to it. "You heard me," Kevin said without looking up. "Maybe you should fly international instead. They might understand you better over there." The older woman behind Maya spoke up loudly. "That is completely inappropriate. You should be ashamed of yourself." Kevin looked annoyed at the interruption. "Ma'am, please wait your turn. I'm helping this customer right now." Maya quietly took out her phone and started recording the conversation. She had learned to document situations like this because they happened more often than most people realized. "Sir, I would like to speak to your supervisor," Maya said calmly. "My supervisor is busy," Kevin replied. "Look, do you want to check in or not? Because there are other people waiting." "Yes, I want to check in," Maya said. "That is why I came to your counter." Kevin sighed loudly like Maya was causing him great trouble. He grabbed her passport and typed aggressively on his keyboard. "Fine, but next time maybe try to speak more American, okay?" Maya could not believe what she was hearing. She looked around and saw that several other passengers were now watching, and some were recording with their phones. A security guard had also noticed the commotion and was walking over. "Is there a problem here?" the security guard asked. His name tag said, "Officer Johnson." "No problem," Kevin said quickly. "Just checking in a passenger." Maya looked at the security guard. "This agent has been making inappropriate comments about my accent and telling me I should speak more American." Officer Johnson looked at Kevin with a serious expression. "Is that true?" "I was just trying to help her communicate better," Kevin said defensively. "Sometimes people have trouble with accents." "That's not your job," Officer Johnson said firmly. "Your job is to check in passengers professionally." The young man who had been recording stepped forward. "I got the whole thing on video. This guy was completely out of line." Kevin's face turned red. He realized that his behavior had been noticed by many people and that it was being recorded. He suddenly became more cooperative. "Let me finish checking you in," Kevin said to Maya, his tone completely different now. Maya nodded but continued recording. She wanted to make sure the entire interaction was documented. She knew this was bigger than just one rude employee. This was about how people treated others based on how they sounded or looked. As Kevin processed her boarding pass and baggage tags, Maya thought about what she would do next. She was not just another passenger who would walk away and forget about this incident. She had resources and connections that Kevin could never imagine. The check-in process was completed in silence. Kevin handed Maya her documents without making eye contact. She thanked him politely, gathered her things, and walked toward security. As she walked away, Maya could hear other passengers complaining to Officer Johnson about Kevin's behavior. She knew this moment would change everything, not just for Kevin, but for the entire airport and possibly the whole airline industry. Maya had no idea that within 24 hours, her response to this incident would cost the airport nearly $1 billion and make headlines around the world. Maya walked through the security line thinking about what had just happened at the check-in counter. She could not stop thinking about Kevin's words and the way he had treated her. She had experienced discrimination before, but never so openly, in front of so many people. After getting through security, Maya found a quiet corner near her gate and sat down. She pulled out her phone and looked at the video she had recorded. The audio was clear, and Kevin's words were easy to understand. She saved the video to her phone and then uploaded it to her cloud storage. Maya opened her laptop and started typing an email to her assistant, Lisa Park. Lisa had been working with Maya for 5 years and knew how to handle sensitive situations. Maya wrote about what had happened and asked Lisa to prepare for an emergency meeting when she returned to New York. While typing, Maya thought about her company, Wanderlust Global. She had started the business 15 years ago with just $5,000 and a dream. Now her company was worth almost $1 billion. They planned luxury trips for major corporations, wealthy families, and celebrity clients. Maya's company worked with airlines, hotels, cruise ships, and tour companies all over the world. They booked millions of dollars worth of travel every month. Chicago O'Hare Airport was one of their biggest partners because so many of their corporate clients traveled through this airport. Her phone buzzed with a text message from her business partner, Carlos Rodriguez. Carlos managed the company's partnerships with airlines and airports. He was asking about her flight and wondering if she had arrived safely in Chicago. Maya called Carlos instead of texting back. "Carlos, I need to tell you something that happened at the airport today." "What's wrong? You sound upset," Carlos said with concern in his voice. Maya told Carlos everything that had happened with Kevin Miller. She described how he had mocked. Her accent told her to speak more American, and suggested she should fly international instead. Carlos was quiet for a moment after Maya finished talking. Then he said, "Maya, this is terrible. I can't believe someone treated you like this, especially at O'Hare. We send so many clients through that airport." "I know," Maya replied. "I've been thinking about that too. We probably send over 1,000 passengers through O'Hare every month." "More than that," Carlos said. "I just looked at our numbers. Last year we booked over 15,000 passengers through Chicago O'Hare. That's about $127 million in bookings." Maya felt a strange feeling in her stomach when she heard that number. $127 million. That was how much business her company brought to Chicago O'Hare Airport every year. "Carlos, I want you to pull all of our files on Chicago bookings. I need to see exactly how much business we do with that airport and all the airlines that operate there." "Are you thinking what I think you're thinking?" Carlos asked. "I'm not sure yet," Maya said, "but I want to have all the information ready when I get back to New York tomorrow." Maya hung up the phone and looked around the airport. She saw families with children, business travelers typing on laptops, and elderly couples holding hands. All of these people deserved to be treated with respect when they traveled. None of them should have to experience what she had gone through that morning. Her phone rang again. This time it was Patricia Moore, the lawyer who handled legal issues for Wanderlust Global. Patricia had heard about the incident from Lisa, who had received Maya's email. "Maya, I just heard what happened. Do you have any documentation of the incident?" Patricia asked. "I recorded the whole thing on my phone," Maya replied. "I also saw other passengers recording it too." "Good. That's very important. This sounds like a clear case of discrimination based on your national origin and accent. We could have a strong lawsuit here." Maya had not thought about suing anyone. She was still processing what had happened. "Patricia, I don't know if I want to go to court. I just want people to be treated fairly." "I understand," Patricia said. "But sometimes legal action is the only way to make real change happen. Think about it. If this employee treats you this way, how many other people has he treated badly? How many people were too scared or embarrassed to speak up?" Maya knew Patricia was right. She thought about all the times she had heard stories from friends and family about being treated poorly because of their accents or skin color. Most people just accepted it and moved on with their lives. "Let me think about it," Maya said. "I need to get home first and talk to my team." After hanging up with Patricia, Maya noticed that her phone had several missed calls and text messages. Word was spreading quickly about what had happened. Some of her employees had seen the video that other passengers had posted on social media. Nathan Brooks, her marketing director, had sent her a text saying that the video was already being shared on Twitter and Facebook. People were angry about how she had been treated and were asking what company she worked for. Maya realized that this situation was bigger than just her personal experience. Her company employed over 300 people. Many of them were immigrants, or first-generation Americans who spoke with accents. They all deserved to be treated with dignity and respect. She opened her laptop again and started researching Chicago O'Hare Airport. She looked up information about their management team, their financial reports, and their customer service policies. She wanted to understand exactly who was responsible for training employees like Kevin Miller. Maya also started looking at alternative airports near Chicago. She found that there were several other airports that could handle the same flights and services that her clients needed. Midway Airport was smaller but could work for many of their bookings. Milwaukee and Indianapolis also had airports that could serve their clients. As she researched, Maya began to see the bigger picture. Her company had power that she had never fully considered before. They were not just customers of Chicago O'Hare Airport. They were major business partners who brought millions of dollars in revenue every year. Maya thought about her grandmother, who had raised her in Jamaica before she moved to America. Her grandmother always told her to stand up for herself, and for others who could not stand up for themselves. Her grandmother would want her to fight this discrimination, not just for herself, but for everyone who might face similar treatment. She picked up her phone and called Lisa again. "Lisa, I want you to schedule an emergency meeting for tomorrow morning. I want Carlos, Patricia, Nathan, and all the department heads there. We need to talk about Chicago O'Hare and what we're going to do about what happened today." "Of course, Maya. What should I tell them the meeting is about?" Lisa asked. Maya looked around the airport one more time, watching all the travelers who trusted airlines and airports to treat them fairly. Tell them it's about respect, dignity, and the real cost of discrimination. Maya did not know it yet, but her decision to take action would change not just Chicago O'Hare Airport, but the entire travel industry. Sometimes one person's courage to stand up against wrong treatment can create changes that affect millions of other people. Maya arrived at her office in Manhattan the next morning at 7:30. She had taken the first flight out of Los Angeles and was running on very little sleep, but she felt more determined than she had ever felt in her life. Lisa Park was already waiting in the lobby with a cup of coffee and Maya's favorite breakfast sandwich. "Good morning, Maya. How are you feeling today?" "I'm ready to make some changes," Maya said as they walked to the elevator. "Is everyone here for the meeting?" "Yes, they're all in the main conference room. I also printed out all the reports that Carlos prepared about Chicago O'Hare." The elevator ride to the 20th floor felt longer than usual. Maya looked out at the New York City skyline and thought about all the businesses and people who traveled through airports every day. She wondered how many of them had experienced what she went through yesterday. When Maya walked into the conference room, she saw her entire leadership team sitting around the large glass table. Carlos Rodriguez had papers spread out in front of him. Patricia Moore was typing on her laptop. Nathan Brooks was looking at his phone, probably checking social media updates about the incident. Also at the table were Rebecca Torres, the head of corporate sales, and Danny Kim, who managed their international partnerships. Maya had asked them to join because she knew their input would be important for what she was planning. "Good morning, everyone," Maya said as she sat down at the head of the table. "Thank you all for coming in early. I know you've all heard about what happened at Chicago O'Hare yesterday." "Maya, I'm so sorry you had to go through that," Rebecca said. "It's completely unacceptable." "Thank you, Rebecca. But I didn't call this meeting to get sympathy. I called it because we need to decide how we're going to respond." Carlos opened his folder and pulled out several sheets of paper. "Maya, I've been going through our numbers all night. What I found is even bigger than I thought yesterday." "Tell me," Maya said, leaning forward. "Last year we booked $127 million worth of travel through Chicago O'Hare. But that's just our direct bookings. When you add in all the connecting flights, hotel bookings, and car rentals that happen because of our clients traveling through that airport, the total impact is much higher." Danny Kim nodded and added, "I looked at our international connections too. Many of our European and Asian clients connect through Chicago when they come to America for business. If we stop using O'Hare, that affects those bookings too." Patricia Moore looked up from her laptop. "From a legal standpoint, we have a very strong discrimination case, but Maya, you have something even more powerful than a lawsuit. You have economic leverage." Maya knew what Patricia meant, but she wanted to hear it said out loud. "Explain what you mean." "You can choose to take your business somewhere else, and when a company loses over $100 million in annual revenue, people pay attention very quickly." Nathan Brooks put down his phone and joined the conversation. "The video from yesterday is everywhere now. It has been shared over 50,000 times on social media. People are asking what company you work for and whether you're going to do anything about it." "What are they saying?" Maya asked. "They're angry. They want to see consequences for that airport employee. Some people are already saying they won't fly through Chicago O'Hare until something changes." Maya stood up and walked to the window. She could see the Hudson River and people walking on the streets below. All of those people deserved to be treated fairly when they traveled. "I've been thinking about this all night," Maya said, turning back to face her team. "We have a choice. We can file a lawsuit and hope it changes things in a few years. Or we can use our business power to create immediate change." Rebecca Torres spoke up. "What exactly are you thinking, Maya?" "I'm thinking we pull all of our business from Chicago O'Hare Airport. Immediately." The room became very quiet. Everyone looked at each other with surprise. Carlos was the first to speak. "Maya, that's a huge decision. It would mean changing hundreds of bookings that are already scheduled. Some of our biggest corporate clients specifically request flights through O'Hare. I know it's big, Maya replied. That's exactly why it will be effective. When O'Hare loses our business overnight, they'll understand that discrimination has real costs. Danny Kim looked concerned. But Maya, what about our clients? Some of them might not be happy if we change their travel plans. We'll explain the situation to our clients, Maya said. We'll offer them alternative airports and make sure their travel experience is just as good or better. Most of our clients are good people who don't support discrimination either. Patricia Moore closed her laptop and looked directly at Maya. If you do this, you need to be prepared for the response. The airport will probably try to negotiate. They might offer to fire the employee or provide training. You need to decide what you want to achieve. Maya sat back down and looked at each person around the table. These were not just her employees. They were her friends and partners who had helped build Wanderlust Global into what it was today. I want to achieve real change, Maya said. Not just for me, but for everyone who travels. I want airports and airlines to understand that treating customers with disrespect will cost them money. Nathan Brooks smiled for the first time during the meeting. Maya, this could be the biggest story in the travel industry this year. If we do this right, it could change how customer service works across the entire industry. Rebecca Torres nodded in agreement. Our clients trust us to make good decisions about their travel. If we explain that we're standing up against discrimination, most of them will support us. Carlos looked at his papers again. If we're really going to do this, we need to move fast. I can start contacting alternative airports today. Milwaukee, Indianapolis, and Detroit all have the capacity to handle our bookings. What about the airlines? Danny asked. American, United, and Delta all have major hubs at O'Hare. This will affect them too. Good, Maya said firmly. They need to know that discrimination at their partner airports affects their business too. Maybe they'll put pressure on O'Hare to make real changes. Patricia Moore opened her laptop again. I'll start preparing the legal documentation we'll need. We should also prepare a public statement explaining why we're taking this action. Maya felt a sense of relief wash over her. She had been carrying the weight of yesterday's incident alone, but now she had her team's support for taking action. There's one more thing, Maya said. I don't want this to be just about punishment. I want it to be about creating positive change. If Chicago O'Hare is willing to make real changes to prevent discrimination, we should be open to working with them again in the future. That's smart, Rebecca said. It shows that this is about principles, not just revenge. Maya looked around the table one more time. So we're all in agreement? We're going to pull our business from Chicago O'Hare until they make significant changes to prevent discrimination? Everyone at the table nodded. Carlos raised his hand slightly. Maya, this is going to be a lot of work to reorganize all these bookings, but I think it's the right thing to do. Thank you all, Maya said. Let's get started. Carlos, begin contacting alternative airports. Nathan, prepare our public statement. Patricia, get the legal documents ready. Rebecca and Danny, start reaching out to our clients to explain the situation. As her team left the conference room to begin their work, Maya remained at the table for a few more minutes. She thought about Kevin Miller and wondered if he had any idea what he had started with his discriminatory comments yesterday. Maya also thought about her grandmother, who had always taught her to stand up for what was right. Her grandmother would be proud of the decision she had just made. By the end of the day, Chicago O'Hare Airport would lose nearly $1 billion in future bookings. And the travel industry would never be the same. By noon that same day, Carlos Rodriguez had made over 30 phone calls to airports across the country. His desk was covered with flight schedules, airport contact information, and booking confirmations that needed to be changed. His computer screen showed a spreadsheet with hundreds of client bookings that had to be moved from Chicago O'Hare to other airports. Carlos called Milwaukee Mitchell International Airport first. The airport manager, Susan Wright, was surprised to hear from Wanderlust Global. Mr. Rodriguez, this is unexpected. What can we do for you? We need to move a large amount of our Chicago bookings to Milwaukee immediately, Carlos explained. We're talking about over 2,000 passengers in the next 3 months. Susan was quiet for a moment. That's a significant number of passengers. May I ask why you're moving away from O'Hare so suddenly? Carlos had prepared for this question. Our CEO experienced serious discrimination at O'Hare yesterday. We've decided to take our business elsewhere until they address their customer service problems. I'm very sorry to hear that, Susan replied. We would be happy to work with you. Milwaukee can definitely handle that volume of passengers. While Carlos worked on rebooking flights, Nathan Brooks was busy writing a press statement. He wanted to explain Wanderlust Global's decision without making the situation worse. The statement needed to be professional, but also clear about why they were taking action. Nathan wrote, Wanderlust Global has made the difficult decision to redirect all Chicago O'Hare bookings to alternative airports effective immediately. This decision follows an incident of workplace discrimination experienced by our CEO. We believe all travelers deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, regardless of their accent or background. Patricia Moore reviewed the legal aspects of canceling so many bookings at once. Most of their contracts allowed for changes, but there would be costs involved. She calculated that changing all the bookings would cost Wanderlust Global about $200,000 in fees and penalties. Maya, Patricia said over the phone, the cancellation fees are going to be expensive. Are you sure you want to proceed? $200,000 is a small price to pay for standing up against discrimination, Maya replied. Besides, we'll save that money and more by building better relationships with airports that treat our clients well. Meanwhile, at Chicago O'Hare Airport, Airport Director Rebecca Torres was having the worst day of her career. She had received an urgent call from her assistant saying that a major travel company was canceling all their bookings. Rebecca called her customer service manager, Frank Wilson, into her office. Frank, what do you know about an incident yesterday involving discrimination against a passenger? Frank looked uncomfortable. There was a situation at the premium check-in counter. An employee made some inappropriate comments to a passenger about her accent. What kind of comments? Rebecca asked, her voice getting serious. The employee, Kevin Miller, told the passenger she should speak more American and suggested she fly international instead. Rebecca felt her stomach drop. Please tell me you're joking. I wish I was. The passenger recorded the whole thing, and other passengers recorded it too. It's all over social media now. Rebecca grabbed her phone and searched for videos about Chicago O'Hare. She found the video of Kevin Miller talking to Maya Johnson within seconds. As she watched, she could not believe what she was seeing. Frank, who is this passenger? Do we know anything about her? Frank pulled out a file. Her name is Maya Johnson. She was flying first class to Los Angeles on business. Rebecca looked up Maya Johnson online and found the Wanderlust Global website. As she read about the company, her face went pale. Frank, do you realize who this woman is? She runs one of the largest travel companies in the country. I had no idea, Frank replied. Quietly, Rebecca's phone rang. It was her boss, the Regional Airport Authority Director. Rebecca, I just got a call from our revenue department. We're about to lose over $100 million in annual bookings. What the hell is going on? Rebecca explained the situation, with Kevin Miller and Maya Johnson. Her boss was silent for a long time after she finished talking. Rebecca, this is a disaster. Not just financially, but for our reputation. Every airport in the country is going to hear about this. What do you want me to do? Rebecca asked. Fix it. Do whatever it takes to fix it. At the same time, airline executives were getting phone calls about the booking changes. American Airlines lost 47 flights worth of bookings. United Airlines lost 31 flights. Delta Airlines lost 22 flights. American Airlines Customer Relations Manager Tony Martinez called Wanderlust Global directly. This is Tony Martinez from American Airlines. I understand you're canceling a large number of bookings with us. Can we discuss this? Carlos Rodriguez took the call. Mr. Martinez, we're not canceling bookings with American Airlines specifically. We're moving away from Chicago O'Hare Airport because of a discrimination incident. I see. Is there anything American Airlines can do to help resolve this situation? Carlos thought for a moment. You could put pressure on Chicago O'Hare to address their discrimination problems. Your airline has a lot of influence with that airport. I'll make some calls today, Tony promised. The news about Wanderlust Global's decision spread quickly through the travel industry. Hotel chains near Chicago O'Hare started getting cancellations too. The Marriott, Hilton, and Hyatt hotels that usually hosted Wanderlust Global's clients were losing bookings. Jennifer Adams, the manager of the Marriott near O'Hare, called Maya's office directly. "Ms. Johnson, I heard about what happened at the airport. I'm calling to apologize on behalf of all of us in Chicago hospitality. This doesn't represent who we are as a city." Lisa Park took the call for Maya. "Thank you for calling, Ms. Adams. Ms. Johnson appreciates your concern. However, our decision is about the airport's policies, not about Chicago as a city." "Is there anything the hotel industry can do to help resolve this?" Jennifer asked. "You could encourage the airport to make real changes to prevent discrimination," Lisa suggested. By 3 o'clock that afternoon, Rebecca Torres had fired Kevin Miller and scheduled an emergency meeting with all department heads. But she knew that firing one employee would not be enough to get Wanderlust Global's business back. Rebecca decided to call Maya Johnson directly. Maya was in another meeting when Lisa brought her the phone. "Maya, it's the airport director from Chicago O'Hare. She wants to speak with you personally." Maya took the phone. "This is Maya Johnson." "Ms. Johnson, this is Rebecca Torres, the airport director at Chicago O'Hare. I'm calling to personally apologize for the terrible treatment you received yesterday." "Thank you for the apology," Maya replied. "But I assume you're also calling because you've heard about our business decision." "Yes, I have. Ms. Johnson, I want you to know that we've fired the employee responsible and we're implementing new training programs immediately." Maya expected this response. "Ms. Torres, firing one person is not enough. This incident shows that your airport has deeper problems with how employees are trained and supervised. What would it take for Wanderlust Global to reconsider your decision?" Rebecca asked. "We would need to see comprehensive changes," Maya explained. "New training programs, better supervision, clear consequences for discrimination, and a commitment from your leadership to create an inclusive environment for all travelers." "We're willing to do all of that," Rebecca said quickly. "Ms. Torres, I appreciate your willingness to make changes, but we'll need to see those changes implemented and proven effective before we consider returning our business to O'Hare." After Maya hung up, she felt a strange mix of satisfaction and sadness. She was glad that her actions were forcing changes, but she was sad that it had taken losing millions of dollars for the airport to care about discrimination. Nathan Brooks knocked on Maya's office door. "Maya, the phone hasn't stopped ringing. News stations want to interview you, other travel companies are asking for advice, and we've received over 300 emails from people supporting our decision." Maya looked out her office window at the busy New York streets below. She realized that her decision to stand up against discrimination was creating ripple effects across the entire travel industry. "Nathan, let's schedule some interviews. If we're going to make changes, we need to tell our story and encourage other companies to take similar stands against discrimination." What Maya didn't know was that her actions were inspiring other business leaders to examine their own relationships with companies that tolerated discrimination. The consequences of Kevin Miller's behavior were spreading far beyond Chicago O'Hare Airport. 6 months after the incident at Chicago O'Hare Airport, Maya Johnson sat in her office reading the morning news on her tablet. The headline of the travel industry magazine made her smile. "Wanderlust Global reports record growth following stand against discrimination." Maya's company had grown bigger than ever before. Many corporations and wealthy clients specifically chose Wanderlust Global because they wanted to work with a company that stood up for what was right. Their revenue had increased by 23%, and they had hired 50 new employees. Lisa Park knocked on Maya's office door. "Maya, you have a call from Rebecca Torres at Chicago O'Hare. She says it's about the new policies they've implemented." Maya had been expecting this call for weeks. Chicago O'Hare had spent 6 months completely changing how they trained employees and handled customer service. They had hired a new diversity director, created a discrimination reporting system, and required monthly sensitivity training for all employees. "Good morning, Ms. Torres," Maya said when she took the call. Good morning, Ms. Johnson. I'm calling to update you on the changes we've made at O'Hare. I think you'll be impressed with our progress. Rebecca Torres explained that Chicago O'Hare had implemented the most comprehensive anti-discrimination program of any major airport in America. Every employee now received 40 hours of diversity training. They had created a customer advocate position to handle complaints immediately. They had also established partnerships with community organizations to ensure their policies were working. Ms. Johnson, we've had 0 discrimination complaints in the past 3 months, Rebecca said proudly. Our customer satisfaction scores have improved dramatically. Maya was genuinely pleased to hear about these changes. That's wonderful news, Ms. Torres. I'm glad to see that positive changes came from such a negative situation. Ms. Johnson, I have to ask, would Wanderlust Global consider returning some business to Chicago O'Hare? We've proven that we're committed to treating all passengers with respect. Maya had been thinking about this question for weeks. Her team had been discussing whether to give Chicago O'Hare another chance. Ms. Torres, we would be willing to start with a small number of bookings, as a test. If your new policies prove effective over time, we could gradually increase our business. That would mean everything to us, Rebecca replied. We understand that we need to earn back your trust. After hanging up with Rebecca Torres, Maya called her team together for a meeting. Carlos Rodriguez had been tracking the changes at Chicago, O'Hare, and other airports around the country. Maya, it's amazing what's happened across the industry, Carlos said, spreading papers across the conference table. 17 major airports have implemented new anti-discrimination policies in the past 6 months. Airlines are requiring sensitivity training for their employees too. Nathan Brooks had been following the media coverage of their story. Maya, you've been invited to speak at the International Airport Conference next month. They want you to talk about how businesses can use their economic power to create social change. Maya felt proud of what they had accomplished, but she also knew there was still more work to do. That's great, Nathan. I think it's important to share what we've learned with other business leaders. Patricia Moore had been tracking the legal outcomes of their actions. Maya, the lawsuit we filed has been settled. Chicago O'Hare agreed to pay damages and to continue their diversity programs for at least 5 years. But more importantly, 3 other airports have proactively reached out to avoid similar situations. Danny Kim had noticed changes in their international business too. Maya, our European and Asian clients are very impressed with how we handled this situation. They see America as a place that takes discrimination seriously because of what we did. Maya walked to the window and looked out at New York City. She thought about all the travelers who were now being treated with more respect because one discriminatory employee had faced real consequences for his actions. You know what makes me happiest about all this? Maya said to her team. It's not the business growth or the media attention. It's the emails we get from travelers who say they feel safer and more respected when they travel now. Lisa Park had been collecting those emails. Maya, we've received over 2,000 emails from people thanking us. Many of them are from immigrants and people with accents who say they feel more confident about traveling now. Maya sat back down at the conference table. I want to tell you all about a call I received yesterday. It was from a young woman named Maria Santos. She's a college student from Puerto Rico who was nervous about flying to a job interview because of her accent. Maya continued. Maria said that after hearing our story, she felt brave enough to take that flight. She got the job, by the way. She's now working for a technology company in California. The room was quiet for a moment as everyone thought about the impact their actions had created. Rebecca Torres spoke up. Maya, what do you think Kevin Miller learned from all this? Maya had wondered about Kevin Miller many times over the past 6 months. She had heard that he had struggled to find another job in customer service because news stories about the incident came up when employers searched his name online. I hope Kevin learned that words have consequences, Maya said. I hope he learned that treating people badly because of how they talk or look is not just wrong, it's expensive for everyone involved. Carlos Rodriguez looked at his reports again. Maya, the numbers are incredible. Chicago O'Hare lost over $950 million in total economic impact from our decision. That includes not just our bookings, but all the hotels, restaurants, and car rentals that lost business too. And now other airports are being extra careful about how they treat passengers because they don't want to lose business like O'Hare did, Nathan added. Maya felt a deep sense of satisfaction. When she had walked into Chicago O'Hare 6 months ago, she never imagined that one discriminatory encounter would lead to industry-wide changes. "I want to share something with all of you," Maya said. "Next month, I'm starting a new program called the Respectful Travel Initiative. We're going to work with airports, airlines, and hotels to create standards for inclusive customer service." Patricia Moore smiled. "That's a great idea, Maya. You have the credibility and influence to make real changes across the industry." "I also want to establish a scholarship fund," Maya continued. "We'll provide travel opportunities for young people from immigrant families who want to work in the travel industry. We'll help them get the education and training they need to become leaders." Danny Kim nodded enthusiastically. "Maya, that will help ensure that the next generation of travel industry workers understands the importance of treating everyone with respect." Maya looked around the table at her team. These people had supported her decision to take a stand, even when it meant extra work and financial risk for the company. "6 months ago, a man named Kevin Miller thought he could treat me badly because of my accent," Maya said. "He thought there would be no consequences for his discrimination. He was wrong." Maya stood up and walked back to the window. Kevin Miller's behavior cost Chicago O'Hare almost $1 billion. It cost him his job. It cost the travel industry its reputation for tolerance. But it also created something positive. "What's that?" Lisa asked. "It created change," Maya replied. "Real, lasting change that will protect millions of travelers for years to come." As Maya looked out at the city below, she thought about her grandmother who had taught her to stand up for what was right. Her grandmother would be proud to know that one moment of courage had created so much positive change. Maya also thought about all the travelers who would never have to experience what she went through at Chicago O'Hare. They would be treated with dignity and respect because she had refused to let discrimination go unchallenged. The incident that started with laughter and mockery had ended with respect, policy changes, and a more inclusive travel industry. Maya had proven that sometimes the best way to fight discrimination is to show people exactly how much it costs.